So it happened that in the early 2000s, Debbie Honecker, a happily married 27-year-old mother from the town of Lebanon, 2 counties to the east of Van Zee, recovered from a fairly routine gallbladder surgery with a 30-day prescription of Oxy-10s, followed by another script at her post-surgery checkup for another month's supply, this time for Oxy-40s. When she called to complain that her incision was still hurting, the surgeon gave her a third prescription for 7.5 milligram Percocet designed to quell her breakthrough pain, with instructions to take it not as needed for pain but as frequently as every 2 hours, concurrent with the 12-hour oxys. To remind her to take the Percocet, she was supposed to set an alarm for the middle of the night. "The doctor didn't force me to take them," Honecker said. "But they're like a high-standard person, someone you're supposed to trust and believe in. My husband and I both understood that I was supposed to take the pill every 2 hours." They have discussed that defining moment a lot in the intervening years. They've wondered aloud what might have happened had her gallbladder not given out at the same time the factories and mines were laying off and shutting down. She might not have visited a neighbor, a well-known pill abuser, for advice on what to do when the pain wouldn't subside. "If you snort 'em up your nose, they hit you better," her neighbor told her. She might not have found herself doubled over in Dopesick the day her prescriptions ran out. "You're throwing up, you have diarrhea, you ache so bad, and you're so irritable that you can't stand to be touched. Your legs shake so bad you can't sleep. You're as ill as one hornet could ever be," she recalled. "And believe me, you'll do anything to make that pain go away." She might not have later turned, in the throes of withdrawal, to her 60-year-old neighbor, Margie, one of the growing legions of laid-off workers in town, or suggested that, given Margie's bad hip from decades of standing on hard factory floors, she should go visit the town's so-called pain doctor and ask him to write you, parlance for coaxing a prescription out of a doctor by making the pain seem more debilitating than it really is. She might not have driven Margie to the appointment, then coached her on what to say. "She didn't want to do it," Honecker recalled. "Margie would say, 'God knows I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have to choose between paying a bill or going to the doctor to get the medicines I really need for diabetes and high blood pressure.'" Within the span of 3 months, Honecker had mastered the classic drug-seeking emergency room trick, beginning with an impassioned complaint about kidney stone pain. "I'd say, 'My back's killing me,' and in the ER bathroom I'd pierce my finger, then put a drop of blood into my urine sample," she recalled. She'd leave with the prescription for Percocet. She was a full-blown opioid addict when she resorted to stealing the money her husband set aside for paying the electric bill and spending it at the office of a well-known Lebanon doctor who began most of her visits to him with the question, "What do you want?" The Board of Medicine suspended Dr. Dwight Bailey's license to practice medicine in 2014 for excessive prescribing and poor record keeping, noting that 5 patients had died from drug overdoses while under his care. But that was more than a decade after Honecker first came through his doors. Honecker went on to steal painkillers from her husband's elderly grandmother. She bought pills from people who paid $1 for their OxyContin prescriptions using their Medicaid cards. "They've got to choose to eat or pay their electric bill, but if they're on Medicaid, they can sell their drugs to supplement their income," she said. In an Appalachian culture that prides itself on self-reliance and a feisty dose of fatalism, peddling pills was now the modern-day moonshining. Some passed the trade secrets down to their kids because, after all, how else could they afford to eat and pay their bills? "It's our culture now, taking pills," said Crystal Street, whose father, an octogenarian, got hooked on morphine and Dilaudid in the wake of a coal mining injury. By 2016, he was on house arrest for selling prescription pills from his nursing home bed. "I come from a long line of distributors," Street told me. We spoke at an addiction clinic in Lebanon, where she and Honecker were being treated with a medication-assisted treatment, MAT, drug called Suboxone. Like its methadone predecessor, Suboxone staves off dope sickness, reduces cravings, and, if prescribed appropriately and used correctly, does not get you high. Both middle-aged, Street and Honecker had each been jailed. They took turns telling twin near-death stories, one beginning where the other left off. They'd both lost their teeth. You get sick and throw up, or you live pills in your mouth and it takes the enamel off, Honecker said.